Okay, there's sound.
How's everybody doing?
Hi, Demetrius.
Hi, Demetrius.
Hey.
Are we live?
We're live.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are. We're on stage. We're on stage. We're live.
We
We're here.
are
We're ready
stage?
to go. Yes. Hello. Look at our virtual stage.
This is very exciting. Well, hello, everyone who's tuned in. It seems like we're waiting for Carolyn. Hello from Seattle. Where is everyone tuning in from? That'd be wonderful to know. Did we go global or are we still just the US? Yes, we are live.
Well, I'm in Dallas, so.
Dallas.
I'm over in Virginia, right outside of Charlotte, Virginia.
Daniel came and left. It's great. We had a cameo from Danny, everyone.
Hello, Danny. Bye.
Who runs the platform for StartOut, manages all of the amazing volunteers and programming board. Quick cameo there. Toronto is most definitely global. Welcome, Brendan. We see you.
If you need a passport in and out, you're global.
Yeah.
Different tax laws.
Texas is starting to feel like a different universe.
And being a transplant down here, yes, you are completely correct there. We do things our own way down here all the time.
I love it.
I think that's why they call it the Lone Star State. It might be.
Clearly.
St. Louis in the house. I love that. I used to spend some time there.
Yay. Just maybe wait a few more minutes and then we could probably get started officially. I am usually based in Boston, all the way from Nigeria, but today I happen to be in sunny, very brown DC, which I am loving, in contrast to not always the case in Boston.
Yeah.
Eric is like, it's a mess. I said what I said. I love it.
I'm heavy on that. I said what I said, so that works for me, Eric. And Spectra, actually, I've been to Nigeria. I went to the Nollywood Awards one year.
Wow.
Long story.
You didn't ramp up. You just
went straight into it.
Wow. Yeah, there's really, I can't think of anything that would top that experience for you to experience Nollywood, which is our version of Hollywood, and India's version of Bollywood.
It was definitely an experience.
Third largest movie industry in the world. Did you know that?
Yes, I did. And the red carpet was something to behold. It was a great experience overall. So yes.
Nigerians are extra. We like it. Excellent. Well, I'm sure we'll have Carolyn join, and likely maybe after we just get started. But what is it just me, or do I keep going in and out?
It's just you. Go ahead, Demetrius. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say you blink in and out for me every so often, sort of like
that. Just play that off as like the razzle dazzle effect, but that's happening beyond my control or consent. So as long as people can still hear me, I think we will be good. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Well, I want to officially welcome everyone. Oh, he says you're here. Carolyn is here. Who has the email I sent yesterday? And could we maybe send Carolyn the studio login? Because that also happened to me, just in case. Yep. You may have joined as a guest, Carolyn. Everyone say hi to Carolyn. She's a guest. She's going to be on here very soon. But she's hanging in the crowd right now.
So I just shot the link over from the Google Sheet over to Carolyn.
Excellent.
Teamwork makes the dream work. We're doing this thing.
Right.
We'll wait one more minute, and then I'm sure we will figure it out. And whenever Carolyn joins is when they were supposed to join, and we will pause and welcome them, and and get to it. Great. Well, I just want to officially welcome everyone. Happy Pride Month in the US specifically. And just thank you for choosing to spend some of your time, our precious time with us today. I am I'm just going to say it, y'all. I'm in a very good mood, very good mood. I feel like in this world where so many of us are still struggling in ways, right, to be seen and to be heard, there's also something really powerful about pausing to recognize how far we've come and how much possibility there is left. I woke up this morning just really filled with gratitude at the fact that I am living in a state of the world that has an event like this, an entire summit of LGBT leaders, business builders, investors, creators, change makers, troublemakers, rebels, just showing up and hanging out like from wherever we are. That was not the case 10 years ago. That was not the case 20 years ago. Some might say may not have been the case even 5 years ago for more and more of us. So I just want us all to take a moment to just revel in us simply being here today, and getting to talk about more than just our identities, more than just the friction we experience, because we know that is there and we will get to it, y'all. But also just being able to show up and celebrate how far we've come and what we've built, what we are continuing to build, and all of the possibilities for the future. So thank you all for being here. And let's get started. I was going to just do a quick introduction, but I'm so moved now looking at Demetrius and Meg that I kind of want to hear your voices sooner than we had planned. So if you don't mind, I'll start. I am Spectra, originally from Nigeria, have been living in Boston for the past 6 years. I've jumped and lived all over the world, worked and lived in 5 different continents. So where I choose to be is where I truly choose to be. And I'm just really excited to have chosen to be here today. I use they, them pronouns, and identify as non-binary, and an Afrofeminist, intersectional advocate, and troublemaker. Demetrius, over to you.
I don't even know how I can follow that, but
I'm
okay.
sorry. I got moved.
Good. So, Demetrius Curry, founder and CEO of College Cash. We built the world's only preemptive debt reduction platform that uses everyday behavior starting first year in high school. Basically built on a desire to help people. Now, a bit about me, I'm probably one of the most non-traditional founders anybody will ever know. They call me the Ronin because I fight on behalf of the people. I'm a masterless samurai. And I'm heavy, as Eric said, I'm heavy on the I said what I said. If you don't like it, unless you got the Infinity Gauntlet or come from Wakanda, Atlantis, or Asgard, we can run it because I will never back down fighting for everybody else. So I wouldn't say I'm a troublemaker, but I can definitely end trouble. So especially when it's on behalf of others. Pleasure to be here. I'm originally from Chicago, grew up homeless in group homes, boys' homes. I'm a high school dropout, eventually turned my life around. And it's interesting because I've been part of the community. Before going through Growth Lab and StartOut, I had actually never publicly came out as bi. I did the same day that I did the application. So once I started Growth Lab, I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people I had to have. And I've had them, and you know what? Still here I am. So I'm a firm advocate on behalf of startups, entrepreneurship, African-American founders, community founders, LGBTQ founders. I'm here for it all. I'm here for all the smoke when it concerns us.
Yes. Yeah, you followed that.
You set the bar high, man.
I know. I'm really glad I scripted this and sent this to Spectra earlier today because I got my stuff right here. No. Demetrius, once again, thank you for everything you've given to the world. It's just amazing to hear your story. My name is Meg Collier. I'm the co-founder of Rising Together LLC, which is a coaching practice focused on helping founders cultivate creative resilience in their lives, their businesses, and their creative pursuits. I identify as a queer, neurodivergent, 4th generation Irish, Hungarian, Polish immigrant by the way of union laborers. I am an openly anti-racist business owner. I am the white lady that will bounce people out for not centering the experience of those that are in the most marginalized spaces, and I use she, her pronouns.
I Love that. Welcome to you both. Welcome again to everyone tuning in or watching and sharing this space across time and space, right? Even if you watch this asynchronously. I just think we should just get started. And as promised, right, and is owed, whenever Carolyn is able to join us, we will pause so they can introduce themselves. But let's just get started. So we have very limited time today. Hopefully limitless beyond this space, but we do have a time boxed, time to have a conversation about Entrepreneurship 101, which on its own could be like an entire year of classes. So just to sort of scope it and frame it for us a little bit, I thought we'd start with a conversation. Well, not start with the conversation, but acknowledge that entrepreneurship exists in many different forms. And we are living in a time of startups and venture, small business, and GDP. I just learned that. And a bunch of like GDP, yay. I failed economics 4 times in school. So just we're living with so many different iterations, versions, manifestations of building products and services to service people in the world. And I just wanted to acknowledge that there's so many different paths to it. And just like we have on the panelists, everyone has come to it a little differently. So I thought, Demetrius, it's actually really great segue from your origin story. If you could share a little bit, right? So not the full, 12 seasons, but maybe the final act, right? The moment before you got here. What precipitated the start of your company?
I got tired. And I wish I could actually say this is the traditional. I mentored at-risk youth, and part of my narrative was go to college, change your environment, change your neighborhood. It could change your life. That was cool. Then I started hearing about student loan debt and how it affected, quite frankly, disproportionately so many marginalized communities. And I was looking for good resources, and there were none. So I decided to build one. And the interesting thing is, I also believed that I could be the one to do it. That was the first step. So what caused me to do this? Seeing a problem and having enough faith in myself because of all the BS I had gone through in my life to get to this point, to feel that I could be the one to do it.
I'm not going to say that anger and frustration and friction are a theme that I hear as a business owner myself, as an investor, that I hear from founders and people building businesses, like what prompted them to I was pissed off, or I couldn't find, or this was frustrating, or like it didn't need to be this hard. There's just so much of that. So I'm not going to say that that's the only way people come to it. I know there's other ways, but it does seem to be a theme for folks like us, and I would say like us broadly in this group, right? Part of the LGBTQI plus community, BIPOC, people of color, first gen, immigrant, veteran, disabled, all kinds. There's so much friction we experience that I find that happens a lot. The friction then leads to, must it be this way? And then the birth of something new. So thank you so much for honoring that in your story. Meg, I'd love to go over to you, and you can either answer the same question or because I know personally that there was also some frustration, but in addition, or wherever you want to go, we're just gonna wing it, y'all. Wherever you want to go.
I'm here for it. I think one of the things that brought me, so I launched Rising Together as a sole proprietorship, did my thing for years until I could bring it to the LLC status. And all of that was fueled by a really harmful experience coming into the high ticket coaching industrial complex, as I like to refer to it. We're all familiar with these folks. They have big programs, big tickets, they have big outcomes, they promise a lot and oftentimes deliver very little. And in my experience, I saw a lot of people of color, specifically Black and brown folks, being harmed by white folks in the coaching industry. And as a person who was adult diagnosed with ADHD and is coming to understand what it is to be an autistic person, I also understand that I have a huge justice sensitivity, which drives me forward. And I also have an integrity that can't really be bent anymore. And I really root that into being sober for the last 4 years. My business has been flourishing since I left my relationship with alcohol behind. So those really harmful experiences of being inside, 14 months I spent in there, and it burnt me out so bad that it actually took me another 3 years to bring my business to a place where I could grow it into an LLC. I now have a co-founder, which is my partner. But I think that shame causes spirals. And when we stay in shame alone about what we don't know, or what, we're not sure of, or what we're scared to leave behind, one of the things I've gotten from our relationship outside of this Spectra is the word ecosystem. I knew that there had to be a better way to witness the whole experience of human beings and their full emotional expression and their experiences. And that's by, in my opinion, not centering the experience of people that look like me.
Thank you so much for that. What really resonates is the friction that's not necessarily external. Yes,
Carolyn. Sorry, y'all. Figured it out. That's entrepreneurship at its best, right?
I love it. Welcome here. Meg just shared. I just want to sort of like reflect back, and then we'll go to you, Carolyn. But as I was sharing, Meg, like the friction that you experience, not necessarily in an absence of something. In fact, your industry, there's actually quite a bit of saturation, if you will, right? There's coaches everywhere, life coaches, health coaches, wellness is a premium ticket, right? And in that, right, that absence of values aligned, anti-racist, people first, right? Some of your values that were at odds when you were working in that industry led to yours. And so just want to sort of acknowledge that and honor that space as the absence of a product or service or experience that we're literally addressing gaps, but also the absence of a better way, right? A more inclusive way, a more equitable path forward as another way, another problem to solve, right? So that I say that just because I meet with a ton of founders and folks who are working full time who are like, I kind of think of things, but so many people have done it, right? And just because so many people have done it doesn't mean that we can't start it and do it better, right? There's no lack of banks. There's no lack of restaurants. There's no lack of productivity software. There's new ones every day. And it's because there's just so many of us in the world with so many unique needs that it's worth considering if you could do something better, even if it's for a segment of people that you, as of yet, don't think are large enough to support a business. Just go for it. You'll be, just try it on all our behalfs. The world will be better if you try to fix that. Carolyn, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for your patience.
Of course. Well worth the wait. We went round and everyone introduced themselves, just sort of shared where they're coming from or tuning in from. And also a little bit of the origin story so folks know about who you are, what you do. And hello, Alice.
Great. Hi, everybody. So I run a tech company, which is hard to tell considering I couldn't even get into the session. But my name is Carolyn Rodz. I'm the co-founder of Hello Alice. I am originally from Bolivia. I started this company really as the answer to what I wish I would have had when I started my first business. Hello Alice connects entrepreneurs to the resources that are relevant to them based on who they are as an individual and the type of business that they're trying to grow. So it's our goal to reward all of the hard work that entrepreneurs go through to try to build strong and solid and healthy and thriving businesses by opening doors along that journey. So we now serve about 1.2 million entrepreneurs across the country and really focus on what we call the new majority of entrepreneurs, but women, people of color, the LGBTQ plus community, immigrants, veterans, et cetera. So making sure that we all have a voice in this very large and very diverse ecosystem and that it looks like the world that we all operate in.
Thank you so much for that, Carolyn. And I loved also something else that you'd missed in the beginning. We were trying to sort of reverse engineer really the core thing that sparks people towards their businesses. And Demetrius was like, I was angry or he got tired, and, just of some of the challenges that he was seeing in his community. Meg saw actually a proliferation of businesses and was like, well, we could be doing this better. And yours reflective, which I think just actually is a really great way to segue to the next, which is, I wish I'd had this when I was starting. So like opposite, after going through the friction and be like, all right, that wasn't great. Let's make sure not everyone has to do it that way. And as someone who's actually a user of Hello Alice, so I remember discovering it a couple of years ago. And it really is, if you've not visited the platform, it really is such an accessible, simple way to get your idea, one, documented and clear. There's so many resources, so many grants, but not in a way that's overwhelming. So whoever is, running your products team, Carolyn, has done a really great job in getting that done. I just realized I didn't share a little bit about where I was coming from. And investors are actually rarely considered founders. But in many ways, we are. We're in the business of identifying the next, wave or set of businesses and business owners, whether they're startup or venture-backed or services business or small businesses. Our mandate is to identify those and provide the support, resources, and capital to those businesses so they can get off the ground. And as they do well, investors do well. So that's the business model there. And interesting enough, a few years ago, I may have been giving a different origin story now. I had this idea for a startup, which I actually then decided to make a nonprofit, and we're going through a little bit of a cycle, so who knows. It was really because I was experiencing a ton of discrimination at work, right, in workplaces, and was very frustrated by that, but didn't have the language to know that that was repeatedly happening to me as a very multi-hyphenated person who is navigating the unequal terrain of the modern workplace. And so I raised some ethical, some issues with ethics in a company that I was working at, and promptly got fired for it. And this time, many years later, because this had happened to me before, I've experienced discrimination before. And this time, because I think I was later on in my career, I had friends and people around me who were like, oh my God, you should do something, get a lawyer. You should at least, get them to give you this much severance or whatever, so you're not completely destabilized. And so this idea of matching people who are experiencing workplace challenges with pro bono attorneys and then eventually actual firms who support individuals is where Project Layla, my nonprofit, was born. And it only became a nonprofit because I went around looking for angels and venture capitalists that I thought would be interested in the idea. And as I was having conversations with them, I was actually met with a ton of interest and people being like, oh my God, this is great. And this market is great. And you're great, right? You build software for a living, great founder market fit, which is what they say when the leader is actually well aligned with the, with the problem, but decided not to because I couldn't find values aligned investors. And I was like, I will build this and they will sell me off to LegalZoom. And the total mission is not going to actually breathe. And so in a way, I am building the fund that I wish I would have had a few years ago. So very similar to you, Carolyn, and I say that so that all of you on this call or who are watching again across time and space, as you are thinking of the businesses you are going to build, we hear venture a lot and venture backed a lot and raising money a lot. And that is one path, but there are grants as Hello Alice offers, right, to a bunch of folks. There's actually just building a business the good old fashioned way, which is what Meg is doing, right? Building her services business by selling.
Don't underestimate that path. It's a great one. It's a great one.
Right? There's impact investing. There's so many. So just wanted to offer that as well as people who are thinking about their business, that there's so many paths to this. Okay. I'd love to switch gears a little bit, and perhaps we can go back to you, Demetrius. As we're thinking of starting business, so many people tuning in, some may have businesses or startups they're working on already, and some may just be thinking about it, right? What are things, like maybe one or two things in mind? Let's start with one and see if we can get everyone. One thing you wish you would have known, and that could be a skill, that could be just a nugget of wisdom, but anything you wish, like, I wish I'd known this and just, sort of leaned in at the time that you were getting started.
Okay. Yeah, all right. So here's the thing. I'm a very transparent, keep it real, down to earth kind of founder. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up nobody. One of the things I wish I had known then is this is hard for numerous reasons. When you start a business or you decide to go the route of capital or fundraising or anything like this, that's the equivalent of stepping in a boxing ring with Mike Tyson, knowing you're going to get punched in the face and you still do it. However, expect to face numerous obstacles for things that you sometimes have no control over, and embrace that and use that as your superpower. Case in point, I have a startup. We've done great traction. We're doing great things, and I still have to, and I used those quotes earlier, because even at a pre-seed stage, we can see product market fit. All right, I partnered with the world's second largest international payments platform. They're scaling us internationally. How's that not product market fit? Oh, okay. Well, you're a solo founder. Yeah, I'm a solo founder that got into Techstars by myself. Okay, what else do you need? So it's always going to be goalpost move. So eventually you can take that, and we were talking about anger and everything else. Here's the one thing that I've learned. anything that you can use as fuel is okay. You can use as, I tell people all the time, I do what I do and I drive the way that I drive and I grind the way that I grind because I have a group of people who I need to prove right that believed in me, and I have a group of people I need to prove wrong who didn't. Either way fuels my engine. And that's fine. But what I wish I had known really in the beginning that gives you that energy is you deserve to be in every room you get into. I don't care. Look, I'm
Yes.
a bisexual Marine Corps veteran, high school dropout from the south side of Chicago. Man, I can keep going with the checks that would have me disqualified from raising funds and getting in certain rooms. All right, but guess what? All of that brings out your superpower. Everything you've been through in life is a superpower, so use it as such. We don't fold when we reach hard times.
We don't
Some of the founders that do not look like us, do not have our backgrounds, they have never had hard times. You see it all the time. They fold under the first bad thing that happens. That's our superpower. We already know how to adjust and flow and deal with the bad things that are coming. Embrace that. Use it as a superpower. That's what I wish I had known in the beginning, because I wouldn't have doubted myself so much. You deserve to be in every room you get into, period.
So if there are any designers, any t-shirt designers, I feel like we need that on a t-shirt. We don't fold, because that is my new favorite.
we don't. I mean, when somebody's like, oh, well, you know, an investor is going to tell you no. Man, do you know how many times I've heard no over my life for various reasons? I've heard it's going to be hard. Let's be real. Being bisexual is hard. Being a preacher's kid and being bi and being in the community is hard. Being a black man is being hard. Yeah, I could go down the list of things that are hard, but we're still here. So yes, we don't fold. And I wish more people, investors, VCs, for us as a whole would take the path traveled as much as they care about product market fit. What was the path that all of us as entrepreneurs traveled to get here to be sitting in front of you? Did you go through being homeless in high school? Did you go through being ostracized? Did you go through, having your identity had caused you to get kicked out the house? So you had to go do it on your own. Did you have to leave corporate America because you decided to speak up and you still built a company outside of that? Those things should count as just as much as, oh, well, I came out of the right school.
Exactly. I love it. Thank you so much for that. There's so many nuggets. So many nuggets. I feel like we're going to need to have a list of quotes at the end of this. Carolyn, I know you were about to lean in and say something. I'd love to hear from you.
It's funny because I was thinking very similar messaging, Demetrius. On the flip side, mine was going to be entrepreneurship is not rocket science. Yes, it's hard, but it's not rocket science. And I think when I came into it, I felt like going into these rooms, right, where you'd see these people that went to Ivy League schools, that had the pedigree, that could talk the talk. When I walked in, I had no idea what a term sheet was or what it looked like or how to raise capital or even what venture capital was. And I remember feeling so incredibly out of place. Nobody in my Bolivian lineage, you can't even get a bank loan, much less venture capital. Like, that doesn't exist. And so it was this very, it felt so much bigger and more complex than it actually is. And when I remember the moment that it clicked for me, that these people on the other side of the table are not any more special than I am. They haven't done anything that's really, many of them have never even operated. I have more business experience than many of these people. They know finance, but they don't necessarily know business. And they certainly don't know my market better than I know it. And they don't know my business opportunity better than I know it. And then when it clicked that they're all out there peddling for dollars too, they have to go raise with LPs and it's not their money that they're putting to work. It all kind of put everything on equal playing ground for me, and gave me so much more confidence walking into those rooms with every partner conversation, with every investor conversation, with every new hire conversation we were trying to have. It really gave me confidence in everything that I had accomplished. And to your point, Demetrius, the path that we've come on and all of the obstacles that we've overcome and the things that we've achieved. When you walk into that room with that level of confidence, it starts to open doors. And I think that's one of the biggest differences between the people that grew up with the doors opened and the people that didn't, is that they've always walked in with that attitude that they were something. And we really had to fight for that seat at the table. And it's hard to walk in with the same degree of confidence when you've done that. But when you take a step back and say, holy crap, like I've done a ton, probably more than a lot of these people, it changes the way the conversation happens. And I think as a result, the outcome changes significantly.
I'm just going to say, I agree with you so much on that. I've sat in rooms with people who had degrees coming out of MIT, and guess what? They're asking me questions in my field because they don't know anything about student loan debt. And to help, and I saw Bob said something, here's where my mentality shifted. When I finally decided to not take labels, because all of us, they always call us underserved founders. So I started saying to myself, and I even have a little sign that I made, says, I'm not underserved, I'm overlooked.
Woo!
There's a big difference.
I like that.
Love
like
it. All these quotes. I'm just like mentally trying
Another t-shirt.
I know.
Who's starting a t-shirt business out here?
Demetrius.
Yes. Meg, I would love to hear from you. I mean, similar, getting started, like in bootstrapping a business, right? We're you know, with Demetrius and Carolyn have gone the venture route, which is also, I mean, business, as I think Carolyn, you said it better, which is like entrepreneurship is hard, but it's not rocket science, but it is hard. And you've done, you know, bootstrapped your business. Are there things that you wish you would have known, or what are things that you'd like to offer to folks who are thinking about building a business that are thinking of bootstrapping it?
I'm so glad I made notes. There's so many things I want to say, because I think bootstrapping your business is, number one, it's not for everybody. And it takes I have external scaffolding, as I call it, support networks, people that will help me push back my inner naysayers, my outer naysayers. Like Demetrius said, I got on this side that are rooting for me and people on this side that are not rooting for me. And I'm doing it for both of them. Right. So for me, as somebody who came out of a very traumatizing coaching situation, I think that what I learned was that values, you can preach values. You can say my core values are bada bing, bada boo, bada ba, and put them on your website and put them on a t-shirt if you want. Be like, values statement, I'm here, I got it. But at the end of the day, values don't gain their roots through talking. Values gain their roots through action, and they grow their roots through continued action. Okay, I worked in radio for 7 years, and it was the wildest place I ever worked. People sold things that didn't exist. They made promises they couldn't keep. And my job was to interview people and ask them, how important is it to you to do what you say you're going to do? And I can't tell you how many people didn't know that question was about integrity. And how many people didn't know that leading with personal ethics is just as important as coming into an operation, a startup, founding your own business, and leading with ethics. So I think when leading with your values, if you do that first, you will match with the right vendors, the right investors, the right clients, the right consumers, the right whatever, insert your target audience here. And part of this is being able to confidently say, no, thank you, goodbye to the people who don't serve you, and knowing that the best part of goodbye is usually good. It's usually good. You know, I work with a lot of folks who are writing business plans to get into talk to investors, and they are apprehensive to even get into the business writing because they're like, they exactly what Demetrius said, aren't sure that they deserve to be in those rooms or don't want to deal with the fallout of that. We don't fold. Oh, it's going to be a lifelong quotable, Demetrius. We don't fold. It's about cultivating creative resilience. It's about cultivating a resilience. Like for me, there's so many different access points that I have that so many other people don't have. So my goal is to leverage my privilege, my white privilege, as much as I can in so many different ways, to hold those doors, to make those spaces, to encourage people that don't look like me, that there are people out there that want you to fucking win and want you to make the world a better place. And that goes for Black and brown leaders, that goes for immigrant leaders, that goes for members of the LGBTQIA+ community, all of us, all the people that are working with intersections in their identity deserve to be in those rooms. And the people that have benefited, like me, deserve to hold the door. And if I can leave any question like that, it's like the medicine of turkey. It's like you give away in effort to know that you're doing it for 7 generations down the line. You know, that your business will change the face of what we're working through right now. So
beautiful.
Just a little bit.
Well said.
Yeah, really well said. We have just under 9 minutes left, and it's doing the, well, I've never been at the Oscars, so I don't know what that looks like, but it is doing the like clock ticking down thing with my, and my brain is like, don't go over. But I'd love to just maybe bring this home a little bit, or zoom out in a way, right? If we can, very quickly, which is just the shifting landscape. Carolyn, I'd love, as someone who is supporting the ecosystem in a way, right? Like Hello Alice just supports entrepreneurs, small businesses, anyone looking to start a business. What are you seeing that gives you hope?
A lot gives me hope. I think I will say that the pandemic was a great, there's a lot of silver linings that came out of that for small business particularly. And I think it really put small business on the map, outside of just the high growth startups and the profile that we've all been so used to. I think it really opened people up to the need for diversity, to how much we rely on small business in our communities. And it brought a lot of resources to the table. We saw a huge influx in grant dollars coming to small business, which is awesome. For those of you interested in opportunities, check them out at Hello Alice. We try to push out as many as we can find. Grants.gov is another great resource to go find some of those. That's a huge one. Corporations are allocating a lot of dollars, not just in grant funding, but in programming and support. And we are taking a much bigger role in terms of bridging those two worlds together, advocating with them, helping to communicate all the things that we learned from the 1 million plus small business owners that we support. How do we take that information and translate that to corporations, to government entities, to entrepreneur organizations, to say, here is what the ecosystem is asking for. This is what small business owners and entrepreneurs need. Here are the ways in which you can provide it. Let us come back and take that and bridge it back, and then communicate it back out to the entrepreneurs. And so there's a huge influx. Optimism continues even in the face of inflation and supply chain issues and all of difficulties in hiring talent and all of these issues. Entrepreneurs are still very optimistic, and that is incredibly encouraging. I think it's part of our DNA. We wouldn't do this if we weren't optimistic. It is hard, but we have to have that optimism through. And I think you can see it on this call for sure. Yeah. And the ability, I think the people talking about how difficult it is has become, it's so different than when I started. I mean, I started my first company back in 2005, and nobody talked about failure. I did a TED Talk on failure, almost a decade ago. And it was, nobody talked about it. And I remember how nervous I was to talk about my failed venture. And today it's like, everybody talks about it. It's like, here's how I messed up, I failed at. The conversation is so much more transparent. So it's encouraging, I think, in that the doors and silos are breaking down, and that just builds efficiency and opportunity. And for those of us who are keeping our eyes open and tapped into diverse communities and communities that haven't been marketed to or haven't been supported as much, I think there's incredible opportunity. And with that opportunity comes wealth, and with that wealth comes power. And then you look at all the equality that can happen from that. To me, entrepreneurship is how we change the world. Like it is fundamental to changing so many systemic problems that we see today.
Thank you so much for that. And just to put a finer point on that, right? Not that I'm assuming that folks who are tuning in are, you see this as a possibility for yourself, or you're already in it. But just to spread the word, founders, just like Demetrius, offered with his sermon earlier on, who have had to face challenges, like have had to experience friction, and so therefore have expertise, resilience, have built the muscle of overcoming, they just perform better. They do. And so, like, from an investor perspective, right, for me, it's not a diversity strategy to focus on the new majority, or to focus on LGBTQIA+ or BIPOC founders. It's smart investing strategy. They don't fold, right? And they are well connected. The other thing I wanted to add to what in various ways Demetrius and Meg have offered is sort of tapping into your superpower, the power of community. Very similar to you, Carolyn. Like, I've got some years. So when I first started working and I was in the tech industry, I didn't see any other product leaders like me. Everybody remembered who I was. I was a very popular product leader. I was like, I was the only Black person in that conference. And so that was very common. And we're so used to hearing people talk about our identities and our communities from a place of lack. But actually it's especially if you are like multi-dimensional, multi-hyphenated in any way. I meet entrepreneurs from Africa. I meet LGBTQ+ like founders. I meet neurodivergent founders. I meet Black founders broadly, diaspora, right? Like, and similar to you, as you're building your business, you will meet talent across those groups. You will meet investors across those groups. And you will meet first believers across those groups. So just wanted to offer that the way
that's
that
what we call the new majority, right? We are the majority.
Right. Because I think we need to unpack it. Like, I feel like sometimes people think we say new majority or these, the future, right? To sort of hype ourselves up. No, legit, like from an economics numbers, you have way more access, way more connective tissue in your life, the fabric of your life and running through your business than folks who have had it easy and sort of stayed siloed and didn't expand. And so the time is now. The world have shifted, and I just wanted to make sure that we made that point. Demetrius, we've got 2 minutes left. I'd love to hear how you want to take us home.
Well, it kind of ties into Bob's question and what you just said. The first thing anybody has to have is a belief that everything you've been through has been for a reason. And if anything, realize this, when that silly question people ask, well, what makes you the one to do whatever you're doing? Easy. Stand on the fact that I'm the one that came up with it. Stand on it. Don't let people challenge who you are. Anything that challenges who you are is just like somebody calling you by a name that's not yours. Mm-hmm. You're not going to answer to it. You're not going to accept it. You're not going to respond to it. So the same thing. So Bob, do your thing. What pieces do you need? Confidence and a community. That's what you need to do that and kick it off. And you have all of that right here. So that's my final piece.
Excellent. Well, I'd love to, if there are any more questions, let's see if we can get any quick ones. We've got a few minutes left. We could just hang, y'all. But I didn't want someone to be mid sharing, we get caught off. So we can take any more questions. If you have them, please drop them in the chat. Otherwise, we'll just keep hanging. But I just feel so... I woke up, I don't know if anyone saw my post this morning. I was in such a good mood. I was like, it's not even 9 a.m. and it's the best day ever.
I love that for you.
Absolutely. I mean, your energy is infectious. I will say this as well for people who want to raise money. VCs, cool. I'm not going to talk negatively about them because I have some really great VCs on my cap table, but realize the importance and strength of angels. Oof. Those are the people that can carry you through. Those Angel are the people, I have more angels than VCs on my cap table. My angels go to bat for me the same way that I go to bat for them. So don't overlook that, and don't be scared to ask. That's the main point.
Just to clarify for folks who are new, venture capitalists raise money from very, very wealthy individuals, endowments, really large funds, like people that have millions to give and invest on their behalf. Angels tend to invest with their own money, so they write smaller checks. And so you need to find a lot more of them, support you depending on how much you're raising. But just wanted to be clear about the difference for folks who are still learning all of the terminology, because there's so much in our ecosystem.
Yeah. Any questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I mean, I answer questions. I mentor so many other startups just because this is how we should be. We have to give back and help.
Yeah. It has been this has been so fun. StartOut. I would do this anytime. This was so fun. For those of you who are joining very quickly, Meg and I are co-chairs of the Early Stage Programming Board. So look for events to learn more and for more educational content. Thank you all for coming, and see you out in the big new world.
Thank you. Thanks, Spectra.
Thanks, Spectra.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Spectra.
Bye.